Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Procrastinator's Pitstop. Today we have a repeat guest today. Love him, Roberto Capodieci. He was on our show a little while ago talking about blockchain and technology, and we really didn't get to talk a lot about procrastination or how it's sort of related to teams. So Roberto was nice enough to want to come back and share some of his experiences. Roberto, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me to the show one more time. I mean, it's a sure a way to know that I've been appreciated, else I wouldn't be here again.
Oh, we appreciate everybody here, but Roberto, we definitely appreciate you and your experience and your unique insights into the topic as well.
Okay,
All
let's
right,
go.
let's dig a little bit into it. Now, from our previous show, you did say something that was a little bit interesting to me, a little bit of a unique take on it, I think. You said that one of the ways that you kind of overcome procrastination is by lying to yourself. And you said that you did this by going into it and you would schedule your time ahead. Is that correct? Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, as the highest level of productivity arrives at the deadline, right? So creating fake deadlines and convincing the team, but myself as well, that the deadline is actually the one that I invented. It's strange because after a while, I honestly believe it. Sometimes I panic too, and I do the full night, and then there is one more week or 2 more weeks or one more month based on the kind of the length of the project, and it's all amazing. I even happen to call the client saying, "I am sorry, can we just?" And they say, "No, we have to do this in 3 weeks from now." But nonetheless, it's incredible how the step ahead that is needed. Takes place, and then there is the correct due time to reanalyze and do things properly. But there must be something about the focus that, at least in terms of software development, I don't know if this applies to other things, but or in creativity, I will say, the focus that somebody put when there is no time to get distracted. There is no time to want to do super well something is really the need that is strange because the knowledge and the notion in how to work in this way is in us, else we wouldn't be able to do it in the situation. But I don't know why, but it comes out in the moment. So it works.
Well, you could say that it's related to, you know how they say that necessity is the mother of all invention. So human beings, if we don't need to do something and we get comfortable, generally speaking, we just go ahead and just are comfortable, right? So there could be some of that at play.
Yes, and another very interesting thing is if there are three different tasks and some are less pleasant, so we tend to leave them for later. Putting one task that is very annoying, and even if it's not really needed in front of us, the justification of saying, I cannot do this now because I have those other things that I need to do that I would have left them forever, is incredible how it works. For example, I noticed very common, very good creative people hates all the aspect of invoicing, billing clients, and other things like that for some reason. Even it should be pleasant because the moment one get paid. But so that's another way people tend to postpone until sometime ending up giving the service for free because it becomes too late to actually invoice. Put in front of ourselves a task that is very heavy, annoying, give us the reasons. Okay, let me prepare for that. But in the meanwhile, I have so many things that I need to close doing the invoicing, do the other things. So it is another very functional trick and system to become productive and don't procrastinate things that somebody needs to do. It's a mental trick. I don't know. Probably a good I don't know attitude should solve these things. But I met people that is amazing in life in all terms, like this. But in front of these things, those small things works.
And you not only applied this sort of system to yourself and had success, you've applied it to the other development teams you're working with as well. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
to start with, actually. I mean, understanding the psychology. There are some kind of people that you work with that are not the classic 100% functional, if you want to say, without any offense to developer. But there are side of a personality when I reason it like this: we have 100%. If you put a lot of this 100% on one side, there is no other, but become lower on other things, right? So when somebody excel in some aspect, it is deficient in other aspect automatically. So I really learned that is a different kind of psychology working with some very talented people, talented on some stuff, and then how to work with these people in the area of their lives where they are absolutely not excellent. Actually, is most of the time less than the average on other aspects, and this is several of the tricks that I learned. Then I start applying them on myself as well, and probably with being humble and recognizing the your own limit is a good way to understand that you yourself are possibly a good test case for those systems, and they do work.
You mentioned something else that was interesting there, how, if we put all of our focus on one thing or we have all of our talent in one area, then automatically we're going to be, deficient in another area. So, do you find that maybe one of the ways to avoid procrastination in a team or avoid missing deadlines is to, rather than have a dedicated team that's sort of good in all areas, is it better to have one person that's specifically good at, say, a specific programming language, another one's good at only graphics, another one's good at only audio? Is that the way to set it up?
That's absolutely the I didn't know even people would do something else. Right? So you would need the specialties. Think about the army as well. When you have a squad that goes somewhere, there is the one that is more specialized on one thing, and as a team, they are very efficient, right? Everybody knows a little bit of everything, but each person has own specialization in the specific topic and skills, but also in the way of moving forward. Working in a team where everybody's perfectionist, you'll go nowhere. Working in a team where nobody's perfectionist, oh my God, the result is terrible. But at the same time, you need some part of the team that drag with them, the guy that will be stuck there in making the small impossible things, and So I think a collective understanding of the. I give you a very nice example. I stayed in California for um, project for a like community for musicians to do like this portal where people can publish songs. We're talking about a good 20, 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. There was this musician that I met that he could come out with the best song in one afternoon. And then he was spent 2 months just tuning up this small, and it was, can you hear difference? And honestly, difference is exactly what just, like make me hear, like 1 month ago. And sometimes he was missing the publishing because he could hear himself things that nobody else. He says, look, it's not for you, it's for the public. The public has no idea about this, but yeah, but what if another musician listen, he can judge me because, like, but that's, let him judge. You need to deliver and sell, and for the public you have it, it is more than enough. But he was by himself, so he got stuck. If probably was with a group of a band or something, you'll be dragged to bring things to fruition. So I think he applied to many aspects where people is more concentrated on the quality of what they do because the reputation is attached to it. Than to sell and deliver because we're a business and we want to make money. Right?
That's an interesting story as well, and I mean it does apply to so many areas, that perfectionism, and we do tend to get in our own ways a lot with that kind of perfectionism because we tend to not let anything go. But what's really interesting, just talking about the psychology of it, is that we're so worried about what other people think. And the sad truth is, not to hurt anybody's feelings, but
Nobody cares.
the sad truth is that nobody, they listen to the song, they liked it or they didn't like it, and that's it. That's maybe he spent, he did it in an afternoon, like you said, and he changed two things that won't go noticed, and then that person will be gone, right? So it is interesting. You did mention something else too. You said that you couldn't imagine a company or a team that would only have, I guess, what you would call all rounders. So somebody on your team who knows a little bit of everything, but they don't really dedicate to anything. And what's interesting about that is that I know lots of companies today, small businesses and large corporations, they operate in this way. They say, hey, Chris, or hey, Roberto, you know this. Do you know how to do this? Oh, yeah. Okay. You're not the best. It doesn't matter. You know how to do that. You're now the accountant and the web designer. So, why do you think that is?
That's more a startup kind of configuration, right? Where starting from one man show. There is one interesting experience I had. I had this friend that is a super famous photographer talking about selling his photography for tens of thousands of dollar photos. So really somebody that made a luxury life just being a photographer. And after enjoying life for a while, he wanted to start again the photo studio. And he said something that really been one key lesson in my life. He said, I'm hiring somebody to manage me because I am a photographer and I need to do photos. If I start doing the management of the studio, I'm no more a photographer, I'm a manager. So if what is work that I bring to the table is doing photo, I need to put somebody to be my boss, which is at the same time my employee, because that part of the job has to be done by somebody else. And that's something that I thought, wow, a lot of people, I cook very well. I open the restaurant, and at this point, I need to do all the jobs that are not cooking. So if you can give the added value on that, focus on that, and put somebody else that is good at doing the other things in the other position, and trust them, because delegating is key. If you start not trusting people and want to redo their job, reevaluate their job, then at the end is a disaster. So once you elect somebody in a position, if it doesn't go well, replace the person. But until you have proved that things don't go well, trust and go with that. And each person should focus on what they do, because else it becomes, to my opinion, an overlap of I would have done it differently, but no, that's not your problem. That's my problem. How to do this, and so on and so forth. This I'm always talking about people that has the personality of the artist, let's say the talent, okay? If it is laying down bricks to build a house, where also there is the guy that has the talent that is better than the other. But let's say uh, everybody just learn how to do it. They were doing something else. They do it for the money at the end of the day. Okay, then you put many people, and I can do the plumbing, I can do the electric, work. It doesn't matter. Tell me what to do. I finish up my 8 hours. I'm okay, and we are all okay. There is no competing or fear of a judgment of the work if it's not minimal okay. But usually these kind of teams, they don't produce excellent products, excellent things, or maybe they do up to an above architecture plan, but not by the team themselves. They are more executioner contractors for a work, right? So they receive from up above a requirement. In fact, on this topic, something very interesting is, as a creative person, usually the push to do something is to prove yourself you can do it. That's why they say it takes 10% of the time to do 90% of the project, and 90% of the time to do the last 10% of the project. Because once I prove myself I can do it, I lose all the interest to keep working on something, right? Mostly if it's my own initiative. Would I be able to set up the infrastructure for whatever application? I do it. Okay, I can do it. I'm satisfied there. Then who does all the finishing, polishing, making sure the bug correct? That's are boring. That there is no talent, there is no expression of my capacity in doing those things. So I abandon it. That's why you see a lot of very good, amazing developer arriving toward the end and then become stressed. Oh my God, it takes forever, and abandoning the project. And as a manager of this kind of people, you need to understand who they are and let them do what they're good at, and then intervene with other people, the people that lay down the bricks, to finishing the work that the other have done. In this case, you have a team that is super amazing. There is no jealousy, there is no having, everybody's happy. everybody did their part. But like you don't call Michelangelo to paint the wall of your house, not with drawing, but just back with a white color, right? And this is the base psychology of people that feel that they have a special talent on something. Maybe they don't really, but they do believe. And so when it comes to do a part of a job that is not really bringing up their capacity, their superiority in their own mind, if you want, they completely hate what they are being asked to do or what they have to do. So I think this become a trigger for procrastination. Like, okay, I have 50 applications I built, they are still there. Now it's no more compatible with the current operating system because I never finished them and published them because it's the annoying part, right? Once I proved I can do it, the small video game, I can do it. Okay, who cares anymore, right? Then the electricity bill arrive, I cannot pay it, so I can rush to say, why I didn't publish it? But, those are the two different fronts that push somebody to, you know, arrive at the end of something. In my experience, at least in what I saw, and recognizing this trait help a lot in organizing the right team, the right people, the right roadmap to get to a successful outcome.
Yeah, and that is that's really interesting how you say that. And I'd be interested to get your take on it because I mean I've felt this before, myself. I'm sure that you felt it before as well. So when you have say somebody on your team that's really good at something like a program, he's the Michelangelo of the programming, and you're doing the equivalent of telling him to paint a wall blue instead of doing like this magnificent mural or drawing. How do you keep those kinds of people motivated, engaged with the team if they feel it's so below them?
Absolutely, you don't. You should never ask this person to paint the wall blue unless it's really like I am so sorry to ask you to do these things that is absolutely below your talent. It's gonna be a waste of money because you're paid way above the level to do something like this, but there is nobody, and we need to deliver in 2 days. I know that I'm asking you this, and they feel okay. They're doing you a favor. You know what I mean? So they're okay. Is a favor. You do it happy because you're doing something for somebody they ask and they recognize there is no. But it's all psychology. It's incredible how, running a kindergarten is maybe a little bit easier because it's really a take a lot of prima donnas, but in a way that is different from the people that is very bring their personality out. You know, these people is very introvert, very close. They don't really say until they explode. So probably when you ask to paint the wall blue, they say okay. They keep on inside, and then they leave or they do something bad to the project. So it's very important to recognize these sorts of things. Simple thing like at the end of every day of work, you need to fill up the report of what you've done every hour of work of the day. My God, this is the one of the worst things that can be asked. Like you should evaluate me for the result of my work. Why I need to be monitored on this aspect. On the other side, the company need to know what they're working. So there is a lot of difficult things to bridge between the classic management in a company and a team of talented developers. I talk about developers because it's what I've been working with mostly, but there are things that are perceived as no big deal by some people that work in the, environment of a large company, which can become very big deal for people that is doing at the end the full value of the product, in terms of technical aspects.
Yeah, what you said there was interesting as well. So just going into productivity in general and the act of being actively monitored or just sort of left to your own devices to fix it or finish it how you want. Which have you personally had more success with?
This is a very interesting aspect. I come from the old generation. I look young, but I'm old, the old generation of management, if you want, where is the classic things come at the office at this precise time. You're punished if you arrive 5 minutes later. Sort of they translate the factory workers to whoever is coming to work. while the culture is understanding that the creative person maybe is coming out with something amazing at 3 in the morning and then he sleep over in the morning because he's been working the night or whatever. So the level of measurement need to change. Something that is the bottom key of everything, and this is very important, is the valuation of the person ethics more than skills in his work. And this comes from a book that is called Remote, that has been written by some people that did some software solution platform that were very popular, even a programming language that was popular. And they say, if you need to be there to micromanage or monitor your employees, then you mean you have made a mistake when you hired. If you hire people that are ethical, committed, honest, and talented, then they should just do the work. You shouldn't worry about that they're not actually working, And and then it doesn't matter if they are in high mountain to, or at the beach to do their work, or how they manage their thing. What is important, they deliver quality code, and somebody free to be in their own asset uh, has this capacity. I discovered this during the pandemic, where going to the office was no more an option. And there are different kind of person, different kind of people. I had employees saying, "Look, at home I cannot work. It's a mess. I get disturbed. There's no peace, no silence. I prefer to come to the office, stay in a corner, and do my job." Other people that I noticed that since they were free to come or not come at the office, the productivity went higher. And maybe they were even doing some extra gigs for other clients, making extra money. Good for them. Meaning, like, once you respect the privacy of our project, I don't care if you're delivering good, result with me. It's okay. There was a very funny situation where they fired this employee that pretty much gave remote access to his computer to somebody from another developing country or something like this. This guy was in America. This person was getting a small percentage of his salary, and this guy was doing nothing every day, and this person from the remote country was doing all the job. To be honest, I mean, beside the aspect of secrecy of the content or whatever, there could have been an issue. I would give a promotion to this person. I wouldn't hire him because he actually put in place something where he could become 10 times more productive. If now we have artificial intelligence and I can use it to be more productive, but you fire me because I'm using a tool to give you better results, doesn't make sense, right? So the sometimes the concerns of the management about the work attitude of somebody that has an intellectual work do not reflect the methods that this person need to put in place to be productive. So yeah, I think I make it productive by making sure he comes to the office every day, sit at the desk, and maybe that's not the means, or by asking what are you doing, by standing behind his shoulder. Those are all things that actually make it worse, So but finding the right people, that's the key. If they are good, that's much more valid than anything else.
And that's very true. I mean, I know that I tend to work better when somebody's not asking me what I'm doing all the time, but because we're happier, we're a little bit less stressed out, and that's the fire in us, right? Like, what do you mean I have to do it this way? I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this. And at the end of the day, as long as the result is there, it really shouldn't matter. And you went back when you mentioned the COVID years and going remote. I've actually been working remote in one way or another for pretty close to 20 years. So I did it before it was cool.
Um,
And it is. It's a whole different mentality. Not every company can do it. Not every person is able to do it because it does take it takes a large amount of self control. So how would you help somebody on your team who maybe was? How did you deal with COVID in general to get people to adjust to that lifestyle?
Actually, has been, I think, a blessing for the planet, beside the big problem they has created, but because it really, really showed that there are possibilities that we never considered. I think that it has ramification in so many aspects: pollution, traffic, residentials, cost in the area of business. That so if we can set up and run businesses that do not require an headquarter, an office, commuting, can you imagine how amazing it will be? You know, it is compared to the need every day of 2 hours inside the car to go from place to another. Obviously, there are jobs that you cannot do it. When the pilot of an airplane cannot work from home, that will be quite scary in a certain way. Uh, but uh, uh, but we were getting also in that direction, like surgeries done remotely sometime because the very experienced surgeon can use these robot arms in the other side of the planet to run a surgery. There are things that you know are exceptionally, but like the surgeon case. But in other cases, probably we're forcing the need to stay in one single space. The money saved by not having a central office, not having to reimburse expenses to people, allow a company to pay like a week holiday to all the employees and their family in a tropical island to socialize once a year if you want, and they still have extra money left in their pocket. So probably, in a ideal world, there are the methods to measure the productivity of people that cannot be, measured on terms of time. If I am in a production line in a factory, 3 hours different from 4 hours. I give the example: if I have a truck full of rocks and I pay people by the hour to unload the truck, and I have a super efficient guy that in half of a day has downloaded everything from the truck, and another one that stops, smoke a cigarette, take a nap, and it takes 2 days to unload my truck. That guy is getting 4 times the pay of the first one. With the first one, I have a truck for 1.5 days more on the road that I can work and be productive. Why am punishing somebody more effective? So at the point, the person that is effective thinks probably shouldn't be effective, should be less effective. So sometimes the way to measure productivity that are used by some people are wrong, and changing them can increase the quality of the result in a team.
So in your experience, when you're talking about development, is it better to have like an hourly type of contract, or is it better to just have it like a fixed?
The ideal, after many years of experience in managing large projects that are software, the best configuration is high level, like architect, project management of high level. Those are salaried by monthly salary, stay in an office because they need to sit together at a table and a whiteboard and whatever. And the outsourcing of the low aspect of production, which is can be designing a logo as much as writing a piece of code of a project, should be split in many, many, many small parts. This is paid by project, is paid by result, because it's much easier to budget the full project in this way even before it starts. There is much more beforehand work. Design architecture, design all the processes, split all the part of the work in large chunk, and each chunk in smaller chunks, and then give a value to it, prepare a nice description, know how to measure the result, if it's good quality or bad quality, know how to assemble the full things at home, and then start outsourcing each small chunk. And when people return the result, get paid and go out for the next one. In this way, the freelancer is going to become super fast, super effective, ready to fix any problem there is, because as he doesn't get paid and more work he does. If he's paid by the hour, I guarantee you it's going to take forever to do things. Exactly because of the guy that unload the truck is the same.
Okay. And actually, what you say there is pretty interesting. It delves into a little bit of ancient history as well. So what you were saying is when you outsource and you have specific teams do specific things like a logo or a piece of code or something. So that's something that the ancient Egyptians did with the pyramids. different reasoning, but one team only worked on the king's chamber, another team only worked the antechamber, another team only worked on something else, and that was for secrecy more so than anything else, so that nobody really knew exactly what it was for. But you're saying that adapting that sort of model for today's day is more effective than, say, having one team that knows about every aspect of a project.
The team that knows every aspect of the project is the team that need to verify the quality of the. It's like if I have to make a construction with Lego bricks, but the Lego bricks don't come pre-done. Each one I need to ask somebody to make it for the function it's gonna have, right? Yeah, there is also the advantage that you don't have an external person that control everything about your project because it's very bad. In case of requirement high quality of project, I can even assign the development of the same Lego brick to 4 different external contractor if you want, and then receive it back home, and then do all the benchmark test, the quality test, the verification, and then choose the best one, or having an alternative based on the solution. In this way, at home, I have the overview always of the full project and how it's coming together, and I can see the bottlenecks, why we're not proceeding in a certain way, because this small chunk is taking forever to be implemented. So I have a more control of how the whole thing is going. If is an in-house project, full in-house, then obviously I need to use the resource I have to do the various parts, but I wouldn't change much the structure of how things are implemented, because this out of all the different structure I've tried in my life, is the one that has much more success, and it can see beforehand how much it's gonna cost, with much more precision. Because one of the big issue project is that you estimate one and it's gonna cost five at the end of the day. So it happens very often for various reasons. Now it's outside the procrastination specific issue, but it is nonetheless a very important aspect of a project. And budgeting time and budgeting money, because are the two big assets in a project. It can cost less but takes 3 times more, or so people want to stay inside those constraints sometimes.
No, that's very true. One of the biggest things in development projects specifically, I guess, is what they call scope creep, right? And that could be related to procrastination on the client side, right? Because
Oh my
he
god.
says, I need it done, I need it done, I need this. Oh, this would be even better. So, what do you do to sort of manage?
Look, I started when I first arrived to live here in Bali. My intention was to do nothing, to scratch my belly, stay at the beach, enjoy life. And then eventually, to help somebody, we started this company that was making website, nothing special, nothing complicated. But it's been interesting that this guy that I met, amazing graphic designer, he was coming out with the most beautiful idea. Technically, he had zero clue. That's why I stepped in to do the technical. His quotation to the client was website, total amount of money. And the first thing I told him, do you realize that one word in your mind, in your head, means one thing? In the client's head means a completely different thing. The lesson learned in a few years of activity or business that we've done, consider we were the only company in Bali doing websites. So, like it or not, they were coming to us or they were going outside Bali to do the work. So, we had pretty much every hotel, villas, activity, restaurant, or then somebody much better than us came in. So, we, we said thank you and left the business to them. But the lessons that we learned from doing, for example, villa management website, all automated, we do all the website. We put a 3 example villa with write a manual with video explanation for the person in how to add the villa. And she said, no, I paid for the full thing and came with a catalog of 400 villa that we had to do all the data entry, the image entry, because in the head of this person, the website was a complete finished things with all the data that they had. I don't blame the client for thinking this way. I blame us not to be very clear in our term and condition that we do not do the data entry in this case, right? And our term and conditions started with a few lines and end up to be 7 pages of the contract by, the different things. And one of the most important aspects is that the time given client changing specification, client not getting back with the okay on something, etc., etc., can become long, and the client do not realize and start blaming us for the late delivery of a project. So all these aspects, that's why there was one dedicated person as an account for the client that was managing all those things, making them sign, always writing and signing things, because verba volens, scripta manens, in terms of what you say goes away, what you write stays. And for as much as it's annoying, it is okay to say, okay, you change your mind, no problem. This means 3 months more in the delivery, and this a much more money, because we're here to work. But yes, that's absolutely a very good point, that clients need to be guided very well, because they end up procrastinating, they end up creating bottlenecks or creating trouble without realizing, so in good faith as well.
Yeah, the clients do that a lot. I noticed that, sometimes it's interesting, right? When you're not working on something, it's very easy to say, "Oh, well, we become the perfectionist even though we're not doing it." Do you find that a lot as well?
Look, I advocate for developers, so even if sometime I am on the other side, it really irritates me. And I had very good example recently when people that think maybe they can develop, they can't. They say, what it's gonna take is 10 minutes to do that. And I said, then do it yourself, If you think in 10 minutes you can do that, I become rude in a certain way, because how arrogant are people, think they know and say like this. And on the other side, is also bad for the client to not consider the implication of being fast in delivering something. It happened to me. There was a friend actually also that was doing a website for selling used cars. Very good. They were starting giving away a Rolex Daytona watch as a prize. So they invested big. And I was implementing this website because I was for 4 months in Italy, no much to do. I said, I'm going to do it. And I was taking consideration by my experience the scaling of the whole things, a lot of aspects that are important, how fast you are when you have a million cars to find the right one, and so on and so forth. They, at a certain point, were tired not to see results coming out and saying, look, I'm working on an engine part that you don't see. And they found that this young kid from East Europe that very fast made the beautiful graphics and all the things. So they dumped me. Okay, I got paid for the work that I did correctly, but they went on with this guy. They had an amazing website, all loaded. They made a lot of advertisement, and so a lot of people came in, and everything crashed down. Really, the website was not functioning anymore. And so then at the point, what you go say, I told you. So like, uh, you get what you pay for. You need to trust the person that is working for you. It's like if I want to build a house and I rush the person, who cares about foundation? I don't see them, just build up a 3-story house and then the house collapses. Can I be upset with this person? You know what I mean? So if I have the arrogance to know better, then I better do by myself. If I put myself in the hand of somebody, I'm making a bet. Maybe it's not a good choice, but I cannot interfere with what is not my competence. I should listen to this person. Best I can hire another specialist to evaluate the job of this first person. But
No, that's very true. That is the popular triangle, which goes for everything, right? You've got
right,
fast, cheap, and good, and you pick two. You can't have
yes,
all three. So if it's fast and good, it's
absolutely.
not cheap. If it's cheap and good, it's not fast.
But sometimes I many times I tell my client, look, a woman have a baby in 9 months, but you cannot put 9 women and have a baby in 1 month. Is not possible. So there are things that requires the times that it takes. Testing, debugging, a lot of things that don't show production of something visible, but they are key, because I can create a piece of code if it's not super well tested, stretched, benchmarked, and all. Probably I'm gonna have a bad surprise in the wrong moment, when I must need a solid structure, right? It's like when they make the building, they do the test of stability and all these things, no. So sometimes, and sadly, people end up selling because they lie to the client. Now we can do it in 6 months, sure. And then 6 months later, it's not delivered, it has problem, there is issues. But because they're already with these people, they pay extra money and they wait the extra time. Somebody with experience honest from the beginning says, look, it's going to take 1 year, it's going to cost you that. No, then we don't work with you. At the end, it takes them longer, it costs them more. So that's difficult things, because that's why usually somebody like me cannot be a salesperson in these terms, because salesperson bring home the sale, and then it's no more his problem. Like I can promise a cow they fly, and you know, and then it's somebody else's problem to make it happen. So it is important to balance these two aspects when you buy a service from somebody else. I believe
Yes, and it is important to set expectations on both ends. So, do you feel that we have an issue in today's marketplace for development services in particular, where we're over promising and under delivering, or is it just standard industry practice that we, say it'll take this amount of time, but we really know it'll take another amount of time because we know the client psychology won't allow it.
Yeah, in fact, that's where I lose my battle in these things, because I cannot lie simply because is the can't. I don't know what he's gonna come back to me. So sometimes I do mistakes and I fail on something is in good faith that I failed this now, because I put myself into something that cannot be done, or other time there are thousands of things like learning about managing a client, which is not easy, as we were saying before. But probably the company that managed to sell more. I also just think about the ICO craze with blockchain that there has been. People coming out with idea that sounds amazing, but they are just fantasies. It's not realistic, and collecting millions of dollars out of this. Congratulations. There's a talent, like you have a talented developer. This is somebody that, snake oil sales on to people that, and then maybe with all the money and all, something that can also create. I don't know, but it's sad that it works like this. It shouldn't be like that, like ideally people should know better, but so much it is that many time wins the person that, you know, make it look like is better, and even at the end it's not gonna be like that.
I understand what you're saying there. I mean, well, it's gotten better. I mean, I've followed a lot of the news and a lot of the different projects and things over the years. It has gotten better, but you're right, because traditionally, like a regular research firm, you have an idea, you test it, you make a prototype. Actually, no, first you get the idea, you go to the market, see if it's something that people want, and then you do testing, then you go to production, then you get the money. Now they get the
But,
money.
but yeah, no, paying attention that we are talking mostly about creating something upon commission. Like if I make my own piece of software, I create the word process. I don't know. Obviously, hardly I am doing this on commission from a client. Then this client is going to resell it on their own, or I get a little bit of royalties on the resales. But if it is my company selling a product for a ERP, for accounting, whatever, usually the investment is in creating the product and then bring it to market. So there is no issue about delivering what is not, because you can very well see and demo the product beforehand. But if a client a very specific requirement that are so unique that they need something built custom, tailor-made for their own needs, then this is where the issue comes out, right? So websites are a very good use case example, because you need your own website. Like it's not houses can be a similar thing if it's a villa or a mansion design on specific requirements. Other things that are more customized, just customized based, that are out of the box solution with a little bit of customization, are not a big deal. So hardly fall into this set of trouble. And a salesperson that is very well trained on a product, it will create the damage in selling something that is not. on a salesperson that sells something that is gonna be has a lot of space to come out with all the fantasy things, and then That's where the trouble starts usually, right?
So it's not true then. I mean, somebody once told me. Granted, it was a salesperson. Somebody once told me anything is possible. It's how much you want to pay for it. Not the case.
In terms of speed of production is not true. Meaning, if you have a $10 million cash in front of me and you say by tomorrow morning I need to have this thing done, it's not possible. That's simple as it is. You can put as much money you want in front of me. If I can, build something in gypsum just to make it look like something that you want, I'm tricking you in thinking I deliver. If I want to put my hands on the money, I can say, yes, yes, sure, by tomorrow morning you're going to have it, leave you some cash. And then tomorrow morning says, look, I got the cold, so we meet tomorrow. you know, what do you do? But if you're honest from the first day, says, look, and I've been in this front of these cases with several times with clients, says, no, we need to go out in the market in 2 months. Says, look, if you want, we talk about like something basic that is going to grow with time later. And then you can go to market in 2 months as the basic functionality, doesn't have the extra things, can look good because designing, we have all the time to do it, but you cannot have all the things you want. And when I start producing things before the 2 months that we publish, you come in and says, no, but add this, add that, to change this and that. It's not gonna happen in 2 months. So I don't even listen. I lock myself. You disappear when we are 1 month and a half. I show you what it is, and then we talk. But clients don't accept this thing. They are their own enemies sometimes. Actually, it is happen very often. Clients are their own enemy, but blaming the contractor if you want.
Yeah. No, that is very true. It's much easier to blame person doing it than the person not doing it.
That's why the biggest amount of work in setting up a company that does like a software house. I've been setting up and running many software houses in my life. Is all on the SOPs, standard operating procedures, and they need to be followed. You can make them softer, you can make them just in paper with checkbox, whatever, doesn't matter. But the experience of knowing where are the fallacies during the process from acquiring a client to finish delivery and failing in following things that may sound silly when you read them, but based on experience, they are not. That's the only way to win both the client and the software house. Uh, but that's the difference of having restaurant franchise or cooking at home. Like both is based on cooking, but there are a lot of other things that you need to monitor and control and be sure about when you're managing like 100 restaurants on the road. And so, yeah.
Okay. Well, we are coming up. It's been a great conversation. We are coming up towards the end here. Is there anything today, Roberto, that you feel like maybe I should have asked but didn't ask, or some aspect that we didn't cover we should have covered?
But we can do it another time. I guess. It is
Sure.
is is a
Or
joke served on a silver plate. I think there is so much to talk about, mostly when it comes to procrastination in jobs where somebody is a one-man show or you are in a company. There are so many different cases, and there are very good aspect of procrastinating because doesn't always is a bad thing, in my opinion. Need to be understood and managed properly, and then it can lead to good results. I advocate also for responsibility, but to living on the side things that are annoying for today is important not to leave them forever. Like, I think that's a good suggestion. I'm happy to have any more chat, more as many more chat as we want to have in topics of business management, small business management, which is my experience, and in terms of productivity for sure.
oh well, we'll hold you that to Roberto, and maybe we'll have you again and just cover all those topics, and then sometime be done in the next 30 years. Okay, well, thank you again for being on the show once again, Roberto, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. Remember, we're going to have the notes how you can reach out to Roberto on his website as well. And just again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.